Hello everyone, and welcome to my second pass for Tenacity. Tenacity is a three-dimensional, top-down, cooperative game in which players defend a central base against waves of oncoming computer-controlled enemies. A player's goal in Tenacity is to become strong enough to push back against the enemies and destroy their spawns. Tenacity is unique because it utilizes the popular MOBA control scheme to create an experience designed around cooperation. In Tenacity, games are formed with up to 8 players. Each player will then pick one unique hero from the roster, which is planned to include 16 heroes at launch. Hero types will be broken into the trifecta of damage, defense, and utility. The player will then use their starting money to purchase some initial items, and the team will split up to cover each available lane. While the amount of available lanes and their arrangement on the map will vary from level to level, in the primary map that the game is designed around, there are 4 main lanes, which have 2 branches each. At the end of each of these branches is a spawn location, which is where the enemies begin each wave before marching towards the player's base. Income is important in Tenacity, so it's critical that each player, whether they are damage dealers or healers, find ways to earn enough money. As the game progresses, the players will use their money to purchase more powerful items and stat enhancements from the shops in their lane. But, as time passes, their enemies will become more powerful as well. In this way, part of the challenge of Tenacity is for the team of players to scale more quickly than their computer-controlled opponents. The waves that attack the base will be made up of 3 enemies, ranged, melee, and casters, which will be given statistical changes as they become more powerful. Additionally, killing the waves is not the only way players can earn an income. Each level will include at least one scripted event, which players may activate whenever they feel up to the challenge. These events can offer unique items or income to players that succeed in them. After players have become strong enough to push back the attacking waves, their penultimate task is to destroy the spawners at the end of each lane. Once this is done, the player's final challenge is to defeat a singular boss enemy, which will be chosen randomly from a list of 3. If a player dies, they will be revived after a short respawn period. If at any point all players die, or their base is destroyed, the players will be defeated. Tenacity shares similarities with elements of many games. The controls, for instance, are going to be very similar to any other MOBA on the market, as is the inventory and leveling progression. The combat pacing, however, might be more similar to a game like Diablo 3. Contrasting these points are the fact that there are no MOBAs on the market that focus primarily on a cooperative PvE experience, and that Diablo is strictly about progression in the long term, whereas Tenacity is broken into discrete rounds lasting 20 to 30 minutes. Risks in this idea are the amount of assets that need to be produced. From a design standpoint, there is a significant roster of heroes to be created and balanced, each needing their own set of 4 skills. Additionally, the items in the game will need a similar treatment. This will take up quite a lot of development time, but is offset by the fact that the amount of normal enemies is not terribly diverse, that the levels will be easy to create, and that I have significant experience designing and implementing similar systems. Another risk is the fact that the game is multiplayer, and we have a limited amount of time for testing, and no back-end resources. Mitigating this is that I have experience designing multiplayer games on this scale, and am aware of strategies that will offload much of the networking difficulty from the team. The design would also utilize player-hosted listen servers, rather than maintaining its own dedicated servers. The final risk is that the gameplay might not be engaging for players over a long period of time. I plan to minimize this risk by making changes based on feedback during testing, as well as considering a shift in focus from wave management to the level events, if that is a more successful route to take. Once again, this has been Elijah and Chapman. I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of Tenacity.